Hi, this is week three's code along video. I'm actually leaving my the video of my face off. You should consider that a personal favor because I've been sick and look absolutely disastrous. So this is my love for you, leaving off the video. Um, this week's assignment is using if else statements, conditional statements, and we are going to get a percentage of a grade and then turn it into a letter grade. And so looking at these requirements here, it's a pretty basic grade level. If it's 90 and above, it's an A, 80 and above, it's an B, and so on and so forth. We are also given some information that to pass the course, they need to have at least a 70%, and we're to display a message letting them know if they pass the course or not. We've also been given the option of an enhancement, which we will do, to determine whether they get a plus or minus on their grade. In other words, was it an A plus? Was it an A minus? Kind of thing like that. And excuse me, I'm having a little trouble with my Zoom a second. Uh, Give me a second. There we go. Okay. Um, so we will talk about how to do that. Now, I like to put my steps down there as an outline. So step one is we need their percentage in order to get their grade. So the first thing I'm going to do is ask for their percentage, and we will have to do that as an input. And so let's just call that percentage equals input. What percentage did you get for this class? Now, a percentage is going to be an int, right? So I will need to add that. And you will have to excuse me if I'm a little slower tonight. I am just not feeling well. Okay, so we've done step one. We have asked the user for input on their percentage. Now, step two is to determine the letter grade based on their percentage. And we can use if else statements for this, and it's really straightforward. So we know if their percentage is greater than or equal to 90, and then we need a colon there, then their grade is going to be an A. Notice when you have an if statement that you want everything that's included in that if statement to be indented. Okay, so next we need to do the B, and we're going to say elif, which means else if the percentage is greater than or equal to 80 colon their grade will be a B. Now, guess you can guess what's going to be next. elif percentage is, I'm going to get a little lazy here, greater or equal to 70, then it will be a C. Let's get even lazier and copy the whole thing. elif, if it's greater than equal to 60, it will be a D. Now for this last one, we don't necessarily need an else if because the rest of the grades are going to be an F, right? So if it's none of those, then we can just put else grade equals F. Something none of us want, correct? Okay. let's see. Let's print grade. Let's test this a second. Just to make sure we're on the right track and give ourselves a sanity check. What percentage did you get for this class? I'm going to say 91A. Okay. Let's run it again just to check all of them. 80, B, good. 72, C, 63, D, 4, F. Okay, so we know our else if statements are working. Now, just printing the grade isn't a great user experience, so I would say we need to give them a little message here. So we'll do an F string. Whoops, you received N, and then there's your grade. Okay, now, ooh, what do I have here that I did wrong? Oh, I know what I did wrong. There we go. I have to close off my quotes, don't I? All right. So we've done our sanity check. We know we can give them their grade. So let's look at this enhancement. Now, there are so many ways. That's one of the wonderful things about computer programming is there are a ton of ways to go about doing something. The instructions said that if they got a 7 or above, it would be a plus, like an A plus or a B plus. If they got a 3 or less, and it would be a minus, like a C minus or something like that. Otherwise, it's just the straight letter. So one option you could do is, of course, if the percentage was 97 or above, you got an A plus. If it was else if it were 93 to 97 or 93 to 80, it would be a minus. That's a lot of typing. And one of the reasons we program is to make our lives easier. So I'd like to think about ways that we could do this that's a little more logical. Now we have this lovely, lovely tool in our computer programming bag called the modulo. And we use it often here. Like I have this example number modulo 2 is equal to 0. That is a common thing used to determine if a number is even. So you would have number modulo 2 is equal to 0, then the number is even, else it is odd. But there are lots of other ways to use the modulo in Python to help us. And we're going to use it to determine plus and minus on the grade. Now, let's say you didn't know you could use it in that way. You are totally allowed to use Google for your computer programming classes and for your computer programming jobs and for computer programming fun. And so as an example, I just typed in, let's say I didn't know how to do this, how to get the last digit of a number in Python, because that's what we need. We need to know if it's a 7 or above or a 3 or below. And it just gave me this great thing where the last digit equals number modulo 10. And so anytime you divide something by 10, the resulting remainder, which is what modulo is going to be the last digit. But if you didn't know that, you could obviously look it up, just like I typed in here. I also typed in clever uses of modulo in Python, just so you guys could see some of the great ways you can use that. And so if you ever want to look that up yourselves, take some time and do that, and it'd be really fun to see some of the things you can do with the modulo. But we're just going to use it here for our enhancement. Okay, so what I'm going to do is say last digit, because that's what I'm after, is equal to percentage, which was the number they put in for their grade, modulo, apparently I can't type tonight, modulo 10. And so that's saying what is the remainder after I divide by 10? And that's going to be the last digit, okay? So now I can use my if-thens to create the plus or minus. So if my last digit is greater than or equal to 7, oops, then my sign will be equal to the plus sign. Now I am noticing a problem here. I haven't defined sign in any way, and I'm going to use it for a couple of different ways. And so above my last digit, I am going to put sign is equal to just an empty string because I'm going to change it a bit. Okay. Um, LF last digit is less than or equal to 3, then my sign is going to be equal to the minus. Else, my sign is going to stay equal to that nothing, essentially, right? Okay, so we need to add our sign to our grades. So we're going to print your grade letter. You received a grade, but we also need the sign, don't we? So let's put sign here. Okay. And let's test this just to make sure we're on the right track because, it's easy to have errors. What percentage did you get for the class? I'm going to say 90. Whoops, I have to put it in the terminal. I do that a lot. 97. You received an A plus. Okay. I'm going to clear this so you guys can see better. Let's run this again, and I will do what percentage did you get for this class? I'll do a 61. You received a D minus. So I know the plus is working. I know the minus is working. Let's see if the regular thing is working. So I'm going to run it again. What did you get for this class? I'm going to do an 85. You received a B. Okay, that is great. So we know our sign is working. The next thing it said is for us to print a message on whether they pass the class or not. So in addition to this print, I'm going to do another if statement. So notice we can do as many different if statements as we want as long as we contain them in the right section of our program. So step 4, I'm going to say if percentage is greater than or equal to 70, which was the cutoff for passing. Whoops, not 79. Print. Well done. You passed the class. Else, obviously, if they didn't get a 70 or above, we are going to print I am sorry you did not pass the class. Keep trying. I bet You will do well next time. Might as well encourage them, right? Okay. So let's test this. And this should take care of all the requirements for our code along here. I'm going to clear this. Let's do one that's above 70 and one that's below 70 and one that's equal to 70. So what percentage did you get for this class? I'm going to say a 99. You received an A plus. Well done. You passed the class. Great. Let's try a 70 just to see how that does. We should pass. You received a C minus. Well done. You passed the class. Okay. Now let's try our below 70. 55. You received an F. I am sorry you did not pass the class. Keep trying. I bet you will do well next time. Okay, so this is the program for our grade assessment. I hope this helped you with your assignment. As always, you can reach out to me on Teams for any questions you may have. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you for being patient with me as I got this week's code along on, and I am going to stop our recording now.